guys, welcome to today's Big Brother 21 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Hanley. Hanley, thank you so much for the support. We could not do this without you. And we think you're super, super awesome. So thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guest of the day like Hanley, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. All right, we have a lot to talk about. It's a lot. Last night, Sam was evicted by a vote of 9-0. It's the vote flip that didn't happen. And they didn't show the HOH competition on the episode, so we'll get there in a bit. But first, remember how Julie kept saying, oh my god, it was so crazy, leading up to the live show? Well, if you guys don't watch the live feeds, they typically go down about 3 hours or so before the live show airs. So usually we don't get to see any of like the truly last minute things that are going on. But this week, someone leaked the feeds from 80 minutes prior to the show. Woo! So if you guys check it out on YouTube, I think it's still up. I'm not totally sure, but even if it's been taken down, I'm sure you can find it somewhere like Reddit or whatever. So anyway, let's go through all that. And then we'll get to what happened after the live show. So, the leak begins with Jack talking to Christy and Sis in the have not room, I want to say. Nicole was also in there. So he's like, guess what? Jackson told me that Kat and Holly knew each other before the show. Ah! It's out there. So, Jack is also suspecting that Jackson knew them before the show. I'm not sure if Jackson ever told him about the Instagram connection with Holly or what, but he thinks that they all know each other. And he's asking Sis, if I yelled at you the way that Jackson yells at Kat, excuse me, would you ever talk to me again? And she's like, no. Yeah, so he feels like this is a sign that they must have known each other outside of the house before the show. So Jack says, I am done with the 6. Nicole's in the room. I mean, I guess they don't care if people know about the 6 now that it's supposedly done. So at this point, they agree they are flipping the vote to keep Sam and to break up the trio of Jackson, Holly, and Kat. So then Nicole and Nick are talking in the storage room. They don't know what they're gonna do. They see that the 6 is breaking up. It's very exciting. They're like giddy about it. There's like this electricity in the air. But they're realizing, oh my god, we're gonna have to pick a side. What are we gonna do? I mean, obviously it's gonna depend on who wins the HOH, right? But Nicole says Jackson even came up to her and was asking what the F is going on. And you know things are crazy when someone in the 6 is going up to one of like the outsiders and clueless about what's happening. It's pretty wild. So they're also not sure what they want to do with this vote because, I mean, of course they love Sam, but Nicole also kind of likes Kat, and then they feel weird because Jack and his crew wanted to leave Jess and Cliff in the dark on this vote, and Nicole doesn't feel comfortable doing that because those are her people. Why should they be left out? So, oh my god, I can't stop yawning. It's been a long day. Okay. So then we start hearing raised voices in the boat lounge. The 6 shooters are in there. Of course, we don't get a camera on the boat lounge at any point because they're saving that for the live show. But we do get to hear some of what they're saying from the other camera angle. So Cliff, Nick, and Jess are all listening in, and Cliff is like, we've got to stick together, all of us outsiders, like these people are falling apart. If we can stick together, we'll have the majority. So then Cliff goes and grabs Nicole and he's like, come listen, the 6 are breaking apart as we speak. You need to hear this because it's going down. And at first Nicole's saying like, oh, I don't want to listen, I don't like confrontation. Girl, get your ass over there. Oh my god, you need to listen to this. Stop. So she does end up listening. And at one point you can clearly hear Christy say, you all know each other. Which is hilarious because she's known Tommy for 7 years. Oh my god. So Kat eventually goes into the boat lounge and she joins in on the shouting because obviously her name is being brought up a lot in here. Everybody's talking about her knowing Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Knowing Holly before the show. So outside of the room, again, Cliff is saying, we all need to stick together. At this point, Sam is there as well, so that would make 5 people. And Sam is asking them for their votes. He's like, let's move forward as a 5, right? Like, this is a nice group, right? I'm down. But they're all smiling and laughing as the 6 is just falling apart. So 2 of the biggest yellers, I would definitely say, were Jackson and Christy. You could hear their voices above everybody else's. So at one point, Jackson storms out and says, thought I could trust you, Jack. And the door slams so hard after he leaves. So Jackson says, I'm about to lose my effing shit. And it's just funny because, like, you hear that and then you see Nick, like, enjoying all this stuff that's happening, and Nick says, man, I gotta poop so bad. But he didn't want to leave the fun and the excitement, right? He wants to hear all of the information that's coming out, watch all the drama unfold. So you can hear Christy imitating Jackson when he was telling her to give him her power. He was all like, it's not rocket science, just give me the power and that's out of your hands, all the blood's on my hands. And she's saying, yes, I had a problem with the way that he spoke to me. I did not like that, but it was a personal thing. And she says that she wasn't gonna go after him for that. She was keeping game and personal separate. Yeah, okay. But she's going with that. So then Christy calls Cliff in. And wait, I just want to say, sure, like, maybe she wouldn't have directly targeted him, but she was definitely hoping somebody else would. So then Christy calls Cliff in because they're talking about some information that he was involved in. So, oh my God. If I hold it in, it's gonna make my eyes water, so I just have to do it. So Christy calls Cliff in, and she admits, yes, I did tell Cliff that Jackson was the rogue vote. But she says that she did it because Cliff told her that Jackson created a group with Holly and Kat and Cliff called the Southerners. So this is kind of true, right? Because Jackson did tell Cliff, oh, that group can stick together, we'll be the Southerners, we'll look out for each other. And it was kind of like this loose thing that I would say he, like, brought up with Cliff multiple times, but they never actually, like, solidified anything, and that group never all met together. So it wasn't like a true alliance, but Nick and Jess are freaking out hearing this. They're like, oh my God, it's another alliance. So Jackson is calling Christy an effing liar while he's brushing his teeth. That was a lot. And then Kat says, okay, I want to speak because I'm on the block. She says, I am not part of the Southerners, whatever that is. And Jack's like, okay, well, you all know each other. You, Jackson, and Holly know each other. And Kat says that her and Holly know one person in common. Stop. That's, no. Okay, so then Cliff was saying something. It was hard to make out exactly what it was, but I believe Jack was asking him who Christy wanted him to target when Cliff was HOH, and I couldn't hear what Cliff's answer was, but Jack did not seem happy about it because he was like, all right, that's all I needed to hear. And he ends up storming out of the room. He gets called to the diary room. He'll be back later. So then Christy is calling out Jackson for acting like he was like this big hero for volunteering to go up as a pawn. So Jackson starts calling her condescending and a hypocrite, and she's like, well, why am I a hypocrite? And he says, you're calling me condescending, but you're being condescending right now. And he says, oh, I guess it's just Christy's world and I'm living in it. That's kind of what it looks like so far, right? So he says, I can't even speak unless I'm louder than you. Christy says, oh, well, I didn't even think I was yelling that loudly. And he says, well, I guess everybody's eardrums are different then. So Jackson leaves the room again, and now he's telling Nicole, yes, I was the rogue vote, but I didn't do it so that I could pin it on you. He says, I knew that Holly and Sis were targets, and I wanted to put the target on anyone else, you know, as long as it wasn't them. So I'm sorry that you had to be a victim of it. Love you to death. Everything I've said to you has been truthful. Ah, that is some bullshit. Oh my God. to clear things up here, I remember Jackson saying that his plan was to get the target on Nick and Bella, but then Nick won HOH, so he had to move it to Nicole, but she was definitely like his secondary scapegoat. So like, you could say all you want that you weren't planning on putting it on Nicole, but like, you kind of were. And for him to say that he's never lied to her, so Nicole's like, I understand, I respect it, I accept your apology, it's a game. Roast his ass! Okay, so Sam is listening to everything that's going on, and his big brother life is on the line here, right? He sees the cat is in there talking, and he's like, well, she's on the block. Should I be in there? I'm on the block. But then he's like, maybe not, because he's wondering, would this just backfire and make things worse for me? So he doesn't end up joining in on all the craziness. So then the conversation in the boat lounge goes back to Holly and Kat knowing each other before. And Christy's like, well, why don't you ask Jackson why everybody thinks that you two know each other? And Holly says, why the F does Jackson think we know each other? Because you and Kat both told him that you did, and then he went and told Jack. Holly is not a good actress. Okay, so then Christy says that Jackson is a snake. 2 syllables. So Christy and Sis leave, and as Christy is walking out the door, she's telling Kat, I don't want you to leave, but I don't know what's true and what's not. I don't know what's going on here. Do you guys think that Christy and Tommy were shitting their pants during this whole thing or what? Because obviously we know that they know each other. You know, they've known each other for like 7 years before this, so they're seeing this reaction that Kat and Holly are getting, and they like sort of knew each other before. They weren't like as close as Christy and Tommy were, but yeah, that's crazy. So Christy says the only thing that she knows is that Jackson is the common denominator in everything, and her gut has been right about him since day one. Oh my god, is she gonna get away with all this? Because like, honestly, all the information that Sam was spreading about her from Cliff's HOH week, that was like all true. There's a lot of stuff that Christy's been doing that is going against the 6, but it seems like she's kind of gonna get away with it maybe. So, oh my god, at this point, the camera that we're seeing is on the bathroom area, and Jess and Sis are in there getting ready, and they start saying that they don't think that Holly and Kat knew each other. So Jess says, there's no way that Kat could carry on a lie like that. And Sis is like, I think that Jackson made it up. I think he made it all up. So Christy's like, all right, well, who does Jackson want to go this week? Because that's who I want to keep. So Holly comes in, and Sis is like, Holly, you need to tell us the truth. Tell us what's really happening here. Did you know Kat? And Holly says, no. Liar. So Sis says, I knew it. Jackson is making this shit up. Oh my god. What is wrong with you? So, okay, moving on. This right here, what I'm about to tell you, is the moment that decided everything for the vote this week. Christy asks Holly, what is Jackson's deal? What is going on here? So Holly says, I don't know. I think he's trying to flip the vote to send Kat home by saying that I had a relationship with Kat outside of the house. So Christy says, well, Kat's not going home then, and I hope this was all worth it, and he feels really smart and savvy right now. So Christy's reason for keeping Kat around is basically just, I want to go against what I think Jackson wants. So Sam is like within earshot of this conversation, and he just all of a sudden gets really sad. Ugh. So then Holly and Jackson are in the storage room, and she wants to know what the F is going on, because she was not present in the conversation that morning when Jack and Jackson were talking, and Jackson was like, oh, Holly and Kat knew each other. I'm gonna explain it more in a minute, but Jackson says that Jack has been suspicious of all of them, potentially knowing each other outside of the house for a long time now. And he says that Kat told him on day 2 that you know, Kat and Holly knew each other. And then he talked to Jack like the next morning and told him. Jack knew about this since day 2 and he's only saying something now? What the actual F? Did he forget about that? Was he blocking it out? Was he not listening in the first place? Like, what is going on here? Where have you been, Jack? I don't know what happened there. But it sounds like what had happened was Holly and Kat knew each other. They had mutual friends. They weren't actually friends themselves, but like they've seen each other around, blah, blah, blah. Then it sounds like they saw each other at finals for Big Brother. They recognized each other. And according to rumors and actually something that I think Jackson said as well, it sounds like Kat and Holly actually communicated with each other before the show and were like, ooh, we should work together, which is like super effed up. But anyway, this is all coming up now because Jackson brought it up that morning to Jack. He said, I was trying to convince Jack that there's no way that Kat was feeding us false information because she wouldn't turn on somebody who she knew outside of the house. So Jackson's like, obviously I can't trust Jack anymore. I got burned by him. And Holly says, well, you can trust me and Kat, but now we're effed. And I say, good. Okay, so Holly says, yes, Kat and I have met a few times, but we don't even know each other that well. And that's the effed up part, that we're being like this is such a big deal and they don't even know each other that well. That's not the most effed up part. There are many other parts about this that are way more effed up. Also, I guess they lied on the show, because on the show, weren't they like, oh, we've never actually met before, blah, 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 we've seen each other around. So that's some bullshit. Okay, so then Holly's telling Jackson, you need to come up with a reason why you said we know each other. Blame your paranoia or something, I don't know, but you need to figure it out. So then they leave the storage room. Holly is talking to Sis and Tommy, and Sis is like, Holly, you need to tell us the truth for real. Like, you really need to tell us if you knew Kat or not. So Holly is like, she's freaking out. She's trying to come up with her story. She's got to figure this out. So she tells them, Jackson thought that she and Kat knew each other, but she says, I don't know why he thought that. I don't know why he didn't ask me about it, and I don't know why he told Jack and dragged me into this shit. Girl, you should have kept your mouth shut in the first place. If you walk into the Big Brother house, why are you gonna go ahead and, I'm sorry, if you walk into the Big Brother house and see somebody that you know, why are you gonna tell everybody that you know them? I mean, granted, she didn't tell everybody, but the three of them have been getting pretty lax, I would say, the last week or so about talking about it. You never know who could be listening. You never know when you're gonna slip up. And apparently they did slip up earlier this week too, which is why Tommy was suspecting they knew each other. So anyway, where are we? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, Tommy, listening to what Holly's having to say, is crying. Like the F, you know how Tommy's like, he's got to be acting, right? I mean, he's a Broadway dancer slash actor, so anyway, Tommy and Sis are aware that Jackson was saying he couldn't trust them anymore. He was telling Jack not to trust them anymore, and it sounded like he wanted to split up the six and start a new thing. So Holly tries to redirect. She's bringing up Christy, trying to supposedly make an alliance with the other side. So Tommy, like Holly, is also acting. He's trying to defend Christy, and he's like, Christy was talking crap about Jackson, sure, but she wasn't talking about Jack. No way. Okay, so it was funny, all throughout this feeds leak, you could always tell when Jackson was approaching, because you could hear him walk up in his cowboy boots from a mile away. It's like he's walking around in a pair of heels. So Jackson comes up to Holly, Sis, and Tommy, and he starts spewing his BS that he came up with Holly about why he thought that Holly and Kat knew each other. So he's like, oh, I was talking to them and I realized they had the same career, same mutual friends, and it seemed like other people possibly knew each other because there's so many like Northeast people, so many Southerners, blah blah blah. There's potential connections there. He and Obi went to the same school. So he's thinking it was possible that they knew each other. So then he says, so I went to Jack the morning of day 3 after Kat and I first hooked up. And I told him Holly and Kat might know each other. That's such bullshit. Oh my god. So he says, after that, it was never brought up again with Jack until this morning. He says that he, Holly, and Kat had never had any other discussions about it. That's such a lie. And he's explaining why he brought it up to Jack that morning, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so then Jackson is saying that Holly and Kat don't know each other, nor has it been proven as a fact. It was a mere speculation on day 2. Oh my god, just stop. So Jackson says, we are not a trio. Okay. Alright, so then Tommy's like, alright, well, why were you trying to make a new alliance that didn't include me or Sis? Or Christy? Like, what's the deal with that? So Jackson starts yelling that he was not trying to make a new alliance. He says, I was hit with a lot of information and I was trying to figure it all out. I was trying to talk it out with Jack. I thought I could trust him. I wasn't sure if I could trust the rest of you guys, so I wasn't telling you about it yet. And Tommy's like, okay, that's fine. If you didn't feel comfortable vocalizing those things with us yet, fine, sure, whatever. But you started to put together a new crew. What is that all about? So Jackson's like, with whom? He said he's not building a new crew. So Tommy's like, okay, but you did also have that like Southerners thing going on too. What the hell was that? Cliff just confirmed it. So he says, you have not been keeping us in the loop. And Jackson says, I told you guys that we could potentially have Kat and Cliff with us. And Tommy's like, that's not the same thing as like starting an alliance with them and not telling us about it. So then Cliff comes over and Tommy again is asking for confirmation about the Southerners, and now Cliff is saying no, it was never a 4 with Kat. They never all got together and solidified anything, which I believe is true. But Tommy feels like he's going crazy right now because he says, Cliff, you just confirmed that to me. Why is this changing now? He thought Cliff confirmed a 4, and Cliff is like, no, I said that me, Jackson, and Holly all talked together about loosely working together, but Kat was never really involved in that. So I think what Cliff is saying is true. I'm not really sure where the confusion was coming from with the whole Cliff just confirmed this thing. I don't know. But anyway, I think it was just a miscommunication. So anyway, Kat, in the meantime, is going around trying to secure her votes because this live vote is coming up pretty fast and no one seems to know what's going on. So Kat is just like, okay, cool, let me know. And she says, by the way, I should have never volunteered to go up as a pawn. Yup. Sam is also trying to figure out his BB fate. So Tommy pulls Sam aside and he's like, I need to know where you stand moving forward. So I feel like Sam doesn't give a great answer here. He's like, obviously, I've had my problems with Christy, so I don't know if we're gonna be able to fix that or what. Ugh, not a great thing to say to Tommy. Tommy's like, I don't want Christy to be the new enemy now. Jackson is the new enemy. Ugh. So in the role of villain, we have Jackson. I think it's fitting though. So Tommy says, I want to work with Sam. I want to work with you. You have my vote. They shake on it. But we saw that that's not what happened. So then at that point, Julie is there. It's time for Julie to practice. So she checks in with the audience. She's saying, oh my god, it's crazy in there, isn't it? So she says, I'm just gonna rip up my cue cards. Wish me luck. I don't know what's gonna happen. So then the audio goes down for a little bit while we see Julie doing her last minute prep for the show. She's all like blah, 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 talking to the producers. People are coming in, fixing her hair and makeup. And then we get little audio leaks of Kat talking to Tommy. She's crying. She says that she's tired of being his, meaning Jackson's, punching bag. And Tommy's like, yeah, we've all seen it. We know. So is this where Tommy turned back to wanting to keep Kat? Honestly, I think Christy had already made up her mind, and I'm sure once she was like, no, we're going against what Jackson wants, that was it. So anyway, Julie rehearses her intro, and that's it. That's it for the leak. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? Honestly, it felt like when I woke up this morning, I was gonna watch a feature-length film, because it was like an hour and 20 minutes, and it was exciting, and it was fun. Yeah, so now we've got a whole nother thing to talk about here. The feeds come back after the HOH competition, and we find out Jess won HOH on her daughter's birthday. What? For real, it was her daughter's birthday. So I know a lot of people online were surprised about Jess winning this HOH, but you really shouldn't be. Remember how good she was in the fireworks competition? I had a feeling she was gonna be good at this because there's another memory one. So anyway, it's gonna be interesting to see what she does this week, especially with the 6 shooters all falling apart. So when the feeds come back, Christy and Sis are talking in the boat lounge, and Christy admits, yes, I have personal issues with Jackson. I don't like the way he speaks to me. I don't like the way he speaks to other women. It's not cool. But she's like, again, I wasn't going after him. I wasn't gonna let that affect our group. So she says, after everything that happened, she doesn't want Holly to think that she's mad at her. She thinks that Jackson really did leave Holly in the dark, and she's not responsible for what he has done. So Sis says, all right, I think we should really lay low moving forward. What have you done this whole time? And she says, only talk game with me. I don't think that's gonna happen. So Christy's like, yeah, I'm gonna lay low. I feel safe with Jess this week, so I don't need to do too much here. But she says entering the second half of the game, she's going in there with a new mindset. No more 6 shooters. Woo! So she says that Sis, Tommy, and Jack are the only people she trusts right now. And she also said she feels good with Kat, but she doesn't like necessarily trust her. So then Christy says, Jackson tried to bury me today. And then she was like, good job, honey, getting out first in the HOH competition. Oh my God. After all that, Jackson was the first one out in the competition. That's classic. Meanwhile, we've got Holly with Tommy and Jack in the target room, and Holly is trying to smooth things over because they just went through a shitstorm. So she's saying that she would still like to salvage the 6. So even Tommy at this point is like, I don't know if that's gonna happen. He says it's not really up to them. It's really gonna come down to Jackson and Christy. Are they gonna wanna work together still? Are they gonna be able to mend things? I don't think so. But then again, this is season 21, so you never know. So Holly says Jackson is hot-headed and paranoid as shit. It's one way to put it. And Tommy says, honestly, it was just one thing after another. Jackson kept saying that Christy was the enemy. He wouldn't let us all talk about it last night. Because remember, Tommy wanted everyone to share the info from Sam with Christy. But Jackson was like, no, we need to respect Sam's wishes and wait to tell her. And Tommy was really annoyed that they weren't going over this as a group. He thought that was really shady. And he also is pissed that Jackson was supposedly trying to form a new group that didn't include him. So it was a lot of things adding up here. So Holly says, she's explaining how her, Jackson, and Cliff were like loosely discussing working together, but they never even all talked together. Come on. And Jack is frustrated hearing this because he's like, why didn't you tell us that when it was happening? You guys really effed up here. And he says, I always report outside conversations back to the 6. Why are you not doing that? So he's pretty pissed about it. Whew, let's check in with Kat and Nicole. They were in the storage room, and Nicole is explaining what was going down leading up to the live vote. She says she was approached to evict Kat. They were telling her they already had 5 votes and she would just be like with them but not essential to making it happen. So she says that Jack, Christy, and Nick approached her. Sis and Tommy were the other votes. And Nicole says that their reasoning for getting rid of Kat was that Kat, Holly, and Jackson knew each other, so they wanted to break up that trio before jury. So Kat is like, well, I'm not with them. She says that she's been planning on backdooring Jackson since week 2. Now, we've heard her say this, but we've also heard her say that she was just saying that to protect Jackson so that Christy wouldn't take him out. She was like, let me do it. So who knows what Kat is really thinking. But she says, Jackson has made verbal, personal attacks on me. He's made me feel unsafe, at least on an emotional level, and it's tainted her whole Big Brother experience. So she's going back now to saying that Jackson sucks. I mean, Holly's HOH reign is over, so I mean, I guess she was just trying to keep it under wraps and keep it cool while Holly was HOH. But now that that's done, she's saying how she really feels about Jackson. So she's like, I don't want my family to think that I've been sacrificing my morals and my beliefs just to like go along with the game. So that's what she was saying in her eviction speech. But again, just the other day she was singing a different tune. So I wish she would be a little bit more consistent about how she really feels about Jackson, because I think it takes away some of her credibility when she changes what she's saying. But then at the same time, I could see why she wouldn't want to say to Jackson's face like, yeah, you suck. So I don't know. But anyway, the feeds switch to Cliff and Jess, because of course the feeds are going to switch when somebody's talking about Jackson and his behavior. So anyway, Jess is saying she's got to be smart about this HOH because she doesn't want to go into the next week, which they think is going to be a double eviction, as a big target. Is it going to be a double though? They haven't said anything about that, and they don't realize that we've got this other twist coming up. So I don't think the double is going to be until after that twist is done. But Cliff says, I don't think you need to worry. There's going to be a lot of bigger targets with this group of 6 breaking up, so we don't need to worry about that. But Cliff is advising her, use your HOH power to buy yourself some safety, like I did. That's great, Cliff, but like hopefully she's gonna follow through on a move this week. So they're a little bit worried that maybe the 6 shooters are gonna get back together, because I mean, they did all vote the same way, which is kind of weird after everything that happened. So Cliff is telling Jess, you know, you have my support no matter what you decide to do. We'll talk later. Okay, back to Nicole and Kat in the storage room. Nicole says to Kat, I don't think you need to worry about being targeted right now. There's a lot of other stuff going on, a lot of other targets emerging. But she does confirm that Jackson told Jack this morning that Holly and Kat knew each other before. And of course, Kat and Holly are both denying it. Jackson is now also denying it. And no one can figure out why Jackson said that. They are trying to figure out what motive would he have to do that, especially since he's like with Holly. It just doesn't make sense. So they figure he was just trying to throw Kat under the bus and flip the vote to keep Sam. So that's why everyone decided to keep Kat, because they wanted to go against what they thought Jackson wanted. So then Kat says that she thinks that they still need to backdoor Jackson, and Nicole's like, do we though? She's thinking about it, and she's like, should we really be targeting Jackson and Holly? They're on the outs with everyone right now. Everybody's pissed at them. Meanwhile, we've got a solid 4 in Jack, Sis, Christy, and Tommy. Why are we gonna do their dirty work and get rid of Jackson and Holly? Maybe we should focus on getting out somebody from the 4, and then they can still all continue to go after each other after this week. And like, I don't like Jackson. Obviously I don't like Jack either, but like I really don't like Jackson. But I have to admit, Nicole makes a good point here. There is a strong 4 that needs to be split up as well. So anyway, back in the target bedroom, the 6 shooters minus Jackson are all in there. So Christy is still playing it off like she was just trying to tell the other side what they wanted to hear, you know, when she was all like, oh, I'm cool with Jack and Jackson going up on the block. She's like, obviously I didn't want one of our people to go, but so she's also saying with the way that Jackson tried to bury her that morning, there is no more 6 moving forward. It is donezo. So Tommy's really frustrated because, again, he feels like they could have hashed all of this out last night, but Jackson and Holly didn't want to talk about it. And Holly's like, yeah, I effed up. You know, we effed up on that. They're also all blaming Cliff for spreading, like, misinformation. Really, guys? Come on. So then after Christy leaves the room, Tommy says that he still trusts everybody in the room. So at that point, it's all the 6 shooters except for Christy and Jackson in there. But he says, I'm not feeling great about Jackson at this point. So Holly says Jackson is paranoid, immature, and effing hot-headed. Break up, break up, break up, please. So Holly keeps saying that she's not so sure about Christy. You know, they've gotten a lot of information about her. She still needs to process all that. And whenever Holly brings up Christy, Tommy brings up Jackson. And so on and so forth. So it's pretty funny. But anyway, some quick tidbits here. Christy and Jess had a little chat, and Jess lets her know there's no way that she's gonna put Christy up this week. And Christy says, awesome. I will not use my power unless you want me to. So you can pretty much just pretend it doesn't even exist this week. Okay. Man, the producers are gonna be so bummed if that power is just not used and it also goes to waste like Ovies. So then Holly and Jackson have a little chat. Holly visits him. He's all alone in the campground bedroom. He's just laying there like, he's pissed. So he says he will never trust Jack again because he's now burned him twice. Was the first time when Jack spread around that Jackson hooked up with Kat? That's what I'm thinking it is, unless, I don't know. Maybe I'm too tired to actually think of what. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, Holly says, well, you might need to fake it with Jack because she's been trying to mend fences here. She's been telling everyone that Jackson was fed information. He got really paranoid, especially being up in the HOH room all week. They were away from everyone. So she's telling Jackson, I need to keep my distance from you for right now, but it doesn't mean that my feelings for you have changed. Blech. Come on! So Jackson says, wow, today I lost Jack. Christy called me an F. She thinks that I'm the worst piece of shit to walk on the face of the earth. I pretty much lost you, and I was the first one out of the HOH competition. Wah, I feel so bad for him. No. But Holly says, we're gonna figure something out. She tells him you need to be humble, apologetic, swallow your pride. And Jackson's like, it's not about pride. Oh, I think that's part of it. But Holly says, we're at the mercy of everyone else this week. Before, it was all about shaking hands and kissing babies, and now we gotta kiss some feet. Ew! Okay. Meanwhile, we've got Nicole and Jess chatting. We get a little insight into what Jess is planning on doing this week. So, first of all, Nicole lets her know when that whole vote flip was being discussed, Jack did not want anyone to tell you about it because he was afraid that you were gonna tell Kat and or Jackson and ruin the whole thing. Oof. So Jess says, well, Jack needs to go. Or Jackson. She's considering putting the two of them up against each other. Jackson is always stirring stuff up, and Jack is quietly, she thinks, running the show. So she wants one of them to go this week, and she says that Sis could be the replacement nominee if necessary. Oh, it's gonna be a fun week, you guys. So Christy announces, this is another little quick thing. Christy announces that there was no alliance with her, Kat, Nicole, Cliff, and Jess. And it's true, there wasn't. They never actually like solidified anything. Christy just kept telling them all, you guys are part of my ideal dream final 6. But they didn't make an alliance, and they all confirmed this. Okay, so then Kat and Holly are in the boat lounge. Oh shit, this is like an intervention. So Kat is like, all right, I thought that me, you, and Jackson had a final 3. From what I'm hearing, everything that I've been telling you guys in complete confidence has been told to everyone with the intention of throwing me under the bus. Because remember, Kat was the one who told Holly this week that Christy was trying to form an alliance with that group of outsiders. And then Holly went and told a bunch of people. So Kat is like, F him, meaning Jackson. She says, you know what? He is degrading to women. And she says, as your friend, I can't have you sit there and stand by that. I don't want you to look bad. So Holly says, well, I've never seen Jackson be degrading to women. I guess she just can't see it because she's like in it. I don't know, but like, stop. So Kat's like, all right, well, maybe he's not necessarily degrading to women. She's kind of backpedaling a little bit, which she shouldn't even have to. But she says Jackson is aggressive. And Holly says, that's not the right word. He's not aggressive. He's hot-headed. Holly tells Kat, you need to be careful with your words. Let's not forget that we're on TV right now. So Kat says, hello. Jackson said himself, he admitted himself that he is aggressive. True, he did say that. And Kat says, I'm not the one getting called into the diary room for things that I've said on TV. That is true. So Holly says, don't speak out of line. Ah! She says, this is serious, I'm serious. Things that you say have massive repercussions out there. You have no idea what he is dealing with in the diary room. Feeds cut. Ugh. So we know from what we've heard that Jackson is dealing with some like outside of the house issues. I don't know, like mental health or whatever. And it sounds like he's been talking with a therapist, which is great, whatever. But that doesn't mean that you can just treat people like shit, which is what he's been doing. It's not okay. So when the feeds return to them, they're both talking about how Jackson's really screwed over both of them in this game. Holly says that he made one of the stupidest moves in Big Brother history. How would you know? How much did you actually watch in Sequester? Really though, isn't Holly a recruit? I feel like she does not have much knowledge of this game. So anyway, Holly says that Kat is the only person that she trusts moving forward. Okay, so last night, Jack was all like cocooned in his bed. He was definitely upset and he was crying at times. So he's telling Tommy he feels like a shitty person. Tommy's telling him it's all gonna blow over, don't worry. He is mourning his bromance with Jackson. So Tommy says, you and Jackson are gonna be fine. He's gonna understand why you did what you did. So Jack is upset because he feels like he betrayed Jackson's trust by telling everyone what Jackson told him about how Holly and Kat knew each other before the show. So Jack is like, he trusted me, and Tommy says, he'll trust you again. And Jack says it's not so much about like the friendship with Jackson, but he says it's about morals, integrity, character. He trusted me, I disobeyed that trust, and it really crushed him when Jackson told him, you broke my heart. Oh my God! This is ridiculous. Okay, so on a happier note, Jess gets her HOH room. This HOH was lit. Everyone was really excited to see her family pictures. She got this like clear visor or something that she was excited about. She got this sugar scrub that her daughter made. That's so cute. She got all of her snacks. She got Trader Joe's stuff. And her music was Queen Greatest Hits. That is thebomb.com. She got a letter from her husband, which was really sweet. And her gift from Pop TV was some sort of like incense beads or something. I don't know. But everybody was pretty hyped up about it. So yeah, after everyone was done hanging out, it's time to get down to business. So Cliff's Angels meet up for a strategy chat. So we've got Jess, Cliff, Nicole, and Kat. Hopefully Kat is not going to turn around and spill all of this information. We'll see. So after all their talking, let me just give you their plan. They want to put up Jackson and Jack this week, and they want everyone outside of their group to think that Jackson is the target, but it's actually Jack. And again, as much as I would love to see Jackson go, it would also be a huge win for them to get rid of Jack. They figure Jackson is running the show, or sorry, Jack is running the show. He is cool with a lot more people than Jackson is. Jackson and Holly are on the outs right now. They're already big targets, so why worry about them when they can go after that 4 and break up the 4? Also, they feel like Holly and Jackson are way more likely to work with them moving forward than Sis and Jack. And I think that's true. I think Sis and Jack would stay more with the former 6 shooters, whereas Holly and Jackson are going to be desperate. They'll work with anybody at this point, I think. So they're like, okay, we cannot let Christy know that Jack is the target, because then she might want to use her power. And if necessary, the replacement nominee would be Sis or Tommy. Don't tell Christy that Tommy might go up too, because that might make her want to use her power. But yeah, that's their plan. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And today, the artists formerly known as the 6 shooters are trying to blame Cliff for everything. They're like, oh my god, he fed us false info. He's trying to destroy our group. Blah. They're also like grumbling about how Cliff made breakfast for Jess and brought it upstairs. Were they upset when Jackson used up half of the food in the storage room to make that spread for Holly and her girls? Okay. In other news, this is exciting. Jess discovered the sex stool in the HOH shower and she removed it. Woo! And yeah, people have been going up to the HOH for their one-on-ones with Jess. It doesn't seem like any of them are changing anything. It seems like she's pretty set on her plan, but she's not telling all the people outside of her group. So nominations should be later. It looks like it's gonna be Jack and Jackson, but if you guys wanna check back later, we'll post the nominees in the info box below. So let me know all of your thoughts on this spoiler. There's a lot going on here. That's a lot to take in. So let me know what you guys think, and until tomorrow, much love.